Before we dive too deep into the specifics of influencer marketing for an e-commerce business, we have to ask ourselves, when is the appropriate time to start using an influencer, and what is a proper influencer? We're going to talk about a bunch of different things in this video as quickly as possible, so make sure to drop a quick like. If you have any questions, of course, leave it in the comments section. However, an influencer for running an e-commerce store is something that, in my opinion, as someone who's spent not the largest amount of money, I have friends where this is kind of this is their thing, they're really good at it. I've only spent maybe $100,000 over a 5-year window with influencers, which is very minimal in comparison to advertising anywhere else. Like, it's 1% of what we do. Now, the thing that I see with an influencer, you have to cough up $700, $1,100, $2,000. And it's an upfront cost. It's very one-sided. Is it going to work? Is it not? It's almost like a gamble. So the situation, just so you know, the only situation where I personally use influencers and where we recommend clients use influencers is once we know our winning product, we know exactly how good our ad creative is, so we know for certain it's a winner. Both those things are set up. We're already making consistent sales off of a paid platform. There's profit coming in. We use the profit from the business and nothing else to pay for an influencer. And we're mainly doing it, not necessarily with the expectation of making a direct return. We're mainly doing it for social proof, branding reasons, as well as getting custom content. That's the goal. Now, if it makes money on top of that, which 95% of the time it does, phenomenal. But that's not the expectation going in. So it's just one of those things, it's an upfront cost. People say, oh, well, is that a better route because I can make $2,000 in a day? Well, yeah, but then once the influencer post is no longer on their page, now you have no way to make money. So it's, in my opinion, nowhere near as good as a paid platform. So let's talk about a couple things here. The types of influencers. Okay, these ones are dead in my humble but experienced opinion. Okay, keep in mind, I used to be this type of influencer. I used to have probably 12 different quote pages in different niches. I used to have a car page with 800,000 followers. I used to have a boat page with 200,000 followers, an airplane page with 200,000 followers, a house page with 300. I used to have these way back in the day. Before I even started doing e-commerce, I was selling ad space to e-commerce stores. So I'm very familiar with these pages, their engagement, and how they work. These are all dead, in my opinion. From a shout out perspective, I would personally never pay one of these pages. There's not a situation. If I was a realtor trying to sell houses, I wouldn't try to get exposure by doing an ad on a page that shows really cool houses. It's just not your demographic. It's simply just not. So you might be able to do the middle step, which is the viral meme, fight pages, fitness pages, food pages, all those different types of pages. The things that are still just an idea of content, it's not a person behind it, right? Funny videos, clips from movie show, those types of pages can do really well. The reason for that is because they hit well in the algorithm. These types of pages, it's very hard to get really good engagement. It's very hard for them to actually go viral. But a viral meme, look at what's going on with crypto and Dogecoin, all these memes, they go ballistic. So if you can get advertised on a page like that and you sell a very general product, well, that could work. That could work well. So I might consider using those, but personally, I aim for personal brands. I want someone's face attached to it. I want the connection that they have with an audience, right? You're tapping into that. So in my opinion, this is always 10 times better. And you get content, which again, is one of the main focuses. So I don't want to pay someone who has 38,000 followers and they charge $110. That doesn't interest me. Now, it doesn't interest me just because I make too much money to make sense of that with the e-commerce stores. Yes, there's that scalability question, but it's not going to do well with a smaller amount of followers. And I want someone who's reputable, someone who's recognizable, because I want them to have at least 500,000 followers or 1 million followers. I'll pay them $1,500, $2,000 to do it, because then you get a video of that person with the product. You can then go post them on your social media. You can start an Instagram page for your store and stuff like that. Tag them, and now people are starting to see, oh wait, they're collaborating and working with this person. Oh my gosh, I follow that fitness influencer. They have 1 million followers. That's super cool. So it's starting to get your name out there. That's social proof. And you can even use some of that stuff on your website. You just make sure that you agree with them that, hey, part of the shout out price is you'll send us a couple videos of the product, a couple pictures, and we can just use that on our social media. So stuff like that is primarily the huge benefit. Now, here's some things to look for. I'm going to show you where to find influencers and certain things in a moment. Here's a couple things just to look for. You want them to be posting constantly, not an irregular schedule. If it's once a week, they better be doing it once a week. You don't want someone where it's 7 times in a week and then nothing for 2 months and then 4 times in a day. That's too off. You also want non-boosted engagement, okay? This is where things get a little tricky and you have to look deeply into the page. And this happens a lot with these types of pages. It's all fake. I know this because that was me, okay? Now, back then I didn't have to fake it because it would grow and you could mess with the algorithm. You really can't anymore. So there's what's called engagement groups. This is where 50 pages that each have 1 million followers are all in a group. Whenever someone posts, they put the post in the group. All 50 of those big pages go like and comment. That helps boost the post up. So it's a little bit artificially inflated. It just helps it rank better, which is, it's okay. But the problem is, if every single post they do that, so all their numbers are technically inflated, however you want to think about it, it's fine. Only if they do that for your promotion, which normally they don't do. So you'd have to make sure if they blast your ad with that as well and help your ad reach more people. You also want to make sure if you're doing a page like that, it has to be a very native ad. You don't want something that's invasive. Study the differences between those. Those are just general marketing concepts you can learn in pretty much any course, anything you go through, any books you're reading, the 25 cognitive biases, learning the difference between a native ad and a non-native ad, something that you don't want people to notice it's an ad right away. You want it to just kind of fit in with the content really well. So that's pretty general, right? So keeping that just in line with things, right? You don't want, I don't know, we could dive into a bunch of different examples. You get the idea. Now, any other shout outs on their page? This is something I like to do. I'll make a list of people that we're looking at. Hey, we're going to consider these 15 different influencers. They got a lot of followers. Let's watch for 2 weeks. Build a list, watch them, and track the shout outs. I want to see, are other people running promotions on there? How many likes and comments do those promotions get in comparison to the normal posts that they make? I want to see that level. Are these people posting very native ads or invasive ads? I want to see that. So something like this, just it's little things that you can do, but these are definitely things to look for, okay? Now, in terms of actually finding these, obviously you can scroll through the platforms themselves. You can scroll through Instagram, scroll through Facebook, find people, and usually they have an email on there. You could DM them. They'll usually reply to business, but this is a good website. I've never personally used Influencer Cart. However, I have sold ad space on Shout Cart a lot. So I haven't used it in years personally. However, there's a lot of different people on here. You can see their engagement. You can see what's going on. Again, always double check that engagement because it's probably engagement groups. You just want to make sure that things look legit. See, they got a lot of different people on here, okay? And these numbers that I'm seeing right here are definitely incorrect. This is such a lie. Nonetheless, you got to just kind of price it out. You get quotes and the number from 15 different people in the same industry that you're considering. You can get a pretty decent average of like what the price should be. If someone that you really want is trying to charge way more and their numbers just don't reflect that, then maybe you either got to negotiate or can't go with that person. So these are two websites where you could do it. Like, I would not use Motivation Fusion. I don't even have to look at the page to know that I don't want to use it, because for me, it's not a person. I want someone who's an actual person. It's like Daily Motivation, even like, let's see if he's on here. I used to run pages with all these people. Now he's not on here. But there's all these quote pages with millions of followers. And I used to do shout out for shout outs at these people, and we'd grow together and sell ad space together. And it was great. But you just got to double check those variables. So influencers are super powerful. You see every major brand. Like a little over 3 years ago when I clashed and ran in just randomly in the streets of Hollywood when I was in Los Angeles, when I had moved there, I was living in LA and I ran into one of the founders of Fashion Nova. If you're not familiar with that, huge company worth probably $1 billion now. It's a major e-commerce company. Yeah, they crushed their Facebook ads, they crushed their Google ads, but a huge portion of how they've grown is through influencer shout-outs. They have people like Cardi B representing the entire brand, and they drop collections, and it's very influencer focused because it just builds trust and it gets a lot of attention. So it's a great way to build from a branding perspective, even if you're not getting a direct ROI. Like, I know that they've paid probably $1 million for a shout out before. I wouldn't be surprised. At least multi-six figures. And they can't really track a direct return on that. But it's just one of those things where you're investing for the long term. So it's something you don't want to do right away. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I have $600. Should I do an influencer or Facebook? You're asking the wrong question. You got to have a little bit more money than that. You got to have some income. You got to know that your product's working. You got to know that the ad is working. Otherwise, it's literally a shot in the dark shooting fish in a barrel. It makes no sense. It's pure gambling. You might as well go put it on red in Vegas. You'd actually have better odds. So just one of those things you just got to think about. Everything has a time and place. I think influencer marketing is more so a second step in terms of your advertising. So that's why we focus on Facebook a lot more in depth. We work on getting that going in the beginning. So if you want to check that out, we got a bunch of resources linked below. Feel free to ask any questions you have on this video. Drop a like, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.